Hello everybody and welcome to my third advanced Excel tutorial, and this tutorial is going to teach you how to use pivot tables. Now pivot tables, in my opinion, and I'm sure many other people will follow this opinion as well, are the best feature that Excel has to offer. Um, and if you disagree with this, then feel free to write which feature you think is better in the comments, and I'll disagree. And but essentially they're so quick, they're so easy, they just make sense, um, and people can just understand them, how to use them really easily. So they're very powerful. Um, you creating them yourself, however, um, requires quite a few really important rules. So let's get into it. So the first important rule is the way in which your structure is set out. I'm going to zoom out a bit here so we can see more of it at once. So you'll see here that this is your kind of standard Excel spreadsheet, and in order for a pivot table to work, you have to have a table, and that means having a section, a range where the top entries are the names of each of the columns, and these names all have to be unique. You can't have two names the same, and every column has to have an entry in it. So you can't have, so if say I inserted a column here, you can't do that. You need to get rid of that one. If you need any blank columns, then just name them kind of blank 1, blank 2, but at least give them a name, else pivot tables won't work. So this is some random data. I've just gone through and made it myself. If you want to join along, there's loads of random kind of, just Google random data tables. This is, for this one I've used sales. So here I've got a list of customers. Here I've got the sales references. I've got 376 of them. Then got customer name. I've got hometown, date of birth, and sex, which I've cross-referenced from this table using a VLOOKUP. If you're unsure how to use a VLOOKUP, then watch the intermediate tutorials. Sorry, but I just heard my next door neighbour drilling and it scared the life out of me. So I've got the customer name, hometown, date of birth, sex or gender, the date of the sale, I guess, the cost per unit, the amount of units, the total cost of the sale, so that's just a formula that times that by that, and then also the year of the sale. So for this I've just done a formula of year and then highlighted the date. Looking at that, I don't really like how way that formula's looking. It should be equals year and then F2, rather than having the whole column, because that's just messy. Right, so that's our data table. So how do we turn this into a pivot table? Most of you have probably asked me, what even is a pivot table? So I'm just going to give myself some more room by taking off the drawing bar and the control toolbox. So there's a bit more space. So in order to start a pivot table, highlight data table. So highlight all the columns. Go to data, pivot table, and pivot chart report, and then the pivot table wizard will appear. Always start off with a pivot table. I wouldn't bother starting off with a pivot chart, because you can create a pivot chart from a pivot table. So you're better off working out how your pivot table wants to look and then creating the chart. Now you can do this from the Microsoft Excel list or database. So that's what I want to do on this one, because I'm using an Excel list. You can use external data sources, and you can reference another pivot table. So I'll show you how to do that in a different tutorial. So now just click on the top one, Microsoft Office Excel list or database. Click next. Where is the data that you want to use? So I've already highlighted the data, so just check that it's highlighting everything we want. So sales, so we're on sales A to J, brilliant. Okay, that's what we want. Click next, and where do you want to put your pivot table? So you can either put it within the same worksheet, or what I normally do is put it on a new worksheet, and then just click on finish. And then you will come in and you will get a couple of toolbars. I don't want to get rid of this one. So you've got a list now of all of your column names, and then you'll see here that you've got a section or page that you can drop data items into. You also notice that it's gone onto a new sheet. So the first thing I'm going to do is rename the sheet to pivot. Just so I know which sheet my pivot table's in. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in sales ref into the data items. So you've got 4 different sections you can drop stuff into. So I'm going to drop it into data items, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to drop it back out. It's just so you can see that you've also got drop row fields, column fields, and page fields. So page fields I'll come on to later, but basically your this pivot table is going to create you, as you probably guessed, a table. And these are going to be the names of the rows of your table. These are going to be the names of the columns of your table, and then in here you're going to have the data that's in that table. So say we put sales ref in here. We haven't given any criteria for rows, we haven't given any criteria for columns, and so it's just in here, it's counted up how many sales there are in total, 376, so that's right. Now, say we want to put something here, so say we want to see how many sales there are per customer. So we'll drag this over here, and then this is going to show us each customer, and then how many sales they've done. So I'll just show you that again. So you click on the field you want in here, drag it across, and you'll see that you've got a little hashed line, and it's flipping between the different things as you move them. So if I put it there, it would go to the columns. If I put it there, it will go to the rows, and if I put it there, it will add another data item in here, which I'm not going to go into yet. So let's put it in rows, and then it will count automatically how many sales there have been for each of these customers. Now, say we want to then push it across the top. So we want to go, okay, so I'm happy with the customers down the side. Now I want to put the year across the top. So we put in year, and you'll see that automatically, and I'll close this off for now, automatically it's worked out for each customer and each year exactly how many sales there have been for each one. You'll also notice that you've got drop down menus now. So you customer name, click on the drop down menu, and you can just tick the people you want to see. So say I want to compare Clinton to Cody, tick, and then it's just going to show me, okay, Cody, very consistent customer, very happy with them. Clinton, not such a good customer, so not really bothered about him. And you can also do the same for year. So let's say we want to watch 2000, 2002, 2003, 2004, and then we'll just get a breakdown for these. And you'll notice that Clinton is such a bad customer, he hasn't had any sales for these years, so he's drops off of the table completely. And that's what will happen if they don't match on either of them, is it just won't show them. So if we put in a few more years, let's put these ones in as well, then you'll show that Clinton's shown up because he's in 1996. We want to show them all again, just show all. You can also, if you don't want to do it on the drop down, you can just highlight things, click on hide, and it'll hide them as well. And to get them back, just go in here and show all again. So that's the basics of making a pivot table. I'm going to continue going into pivot tables because there's so much more you can do with them in the next tutorial. So thanks for listening, and I hope to catch you soon.